Hi kids, good to see you.
Good to hear you. I guess you got your voice back.
Yeah, I thought, my acting is really, really good and I was an excellent mime, but I don't want to deprive the kids of my beautiful voice. La 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 la.
Right, let's get to the real reason we're here.
Yeah, let's get to the story. I want to hear the story.
Great.
Let's go.
So we're continuing our journey through the Jesus Storybook Bible, and today's story is one of my favorites. It's the story of David and Goliath.
David and Goliath, that's awesome. Okay, I can't really remember what happened in the story, but my name's David, so do I want to be David? But I remember Goliath was a giant. Ooh, giants always win. Giants are super strong. Yeah, I'm going to be the giant, and puny little Kaylin can be puny little David.
Well, I'm fine with that, Dave, because I think we'll see that this David is going to surprise us.
Okay, I'm going to go get ready to look like Goliath.
Let's start the story. God's people had some really scary enemies, but the Philistines were the scariest of them all. Now the Philistines had come to fight God's people, and the Philistines also had a secret weapon called Goliath.
Fee, fi, fo, fum, ha ha ha. I am here, giant Goliath.
Yeah, Goliath was a terrifying soldier, and worst of all, he was a giant. A giant so strong and so tall and so scary that no one had ever been able to fight him. Nobody had lived to tell the tale. So, there they were, the Philistines standing on the top of one hill and God's people standing on the top of the other. And every day, Goliath the giant came out and he shouted,
Hey, you guys over there, you're pathetic. Look at you, sitting on your couches watching me. Great Goliath, you're so teeny tiny, and I am amazing. Can I hear something from you guys? Do you have something different to say?
No one spoke. Nobody even moved.
Yes, I'm far too great. And you know what? I'm hungry. I'm going to come get you. I'm going to come eat you. Put you on some toast. Butter you with some jam.
So his beady, greedy eyes glowered at them hungrily from underneath his horrible helmet. Chickens, Goliath shouted.
Yeah, you sound good. I'm coming for you.
He laughed his horrible, terrible laugh. Dave, that sounds more like a witch on a broom.
Yeah, good point. Deep laugh, giant laugh.
Deep, giant
Okay.
laugh. That's much better. And so Goliath's terrible laugh echoed around the dry valley. Well, Goliath might just as well have been a green, slimy monster with 3 heads, because God's people froze with fear. Their eyes glazed over and they turned deathly pale. They knew if someone didn't do something quick, if somebody didn't come to save them, but God would do something. He would send someone to save them. Now, do you remember that David was the youngest son of Jesse? Well, yeah. His brothers were soldiers in the army. And one day, when David brought his brothers their lunches, he saw Goliath. And he saw how scared God's people were. Don't be afraid, David said. I will fight him for you. You're only a little shepherd boy, the king said. And Goliath is a great soldier. How will you fight him? God will help me, David said. So the king gave David his royal armor to wear. let's see how this...
Even if she has armor, she's still teeny tiny. She's never gonna defeat Goliath. I mean, look how pathetic she looks. She's so small.
Yeah, there was just one problem with all the king's royal armor. It didn't make David feel comfortable at all. So he threw it off. I don't need these, David said. Instead, David picked out 5 smooth stones from the river nearby. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And he took his slingshot and he walked towards Goliath. Step, step, step. And Goliath walked towards David.
Thud! 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 You? Never, ever.
I'm little, David shouted up at him, but God is great. Goliath laughed, an even more terrible laugh than usual. With just one swing of his giant sword, Goliath could finish David off. But David kept going. It isn't how strong you are or how many swords and spears you have that will save you. It's God who saves. And this battle belongs to God. David put a small smooth stone inside of his sling and he swung it around. Shoo, 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 and he let it go. And like a bullet through the air, the small smooth stone struck Goliath, thud, right between the eyes. And Goliath stopped laughing. He stumbled and he staggered and crashed. He fell dead. When the Philistines saw Goliath was dead, they ran away. And when God's people saw them running away, they cheered. Yay! God had saved his people, and David was a hero. Many years later, God will send another hero to save his people. But this hero would fight the greatest battle the world has ever known.
Wow, that's an amazing story, and not how I thought it was going to happen. David beat Goliath.
Yep.
That's amazing. But you said the battle that was coming up was far greater. How can it be a far greater battle if you're fighting a giant?
Well, the hero we're talking about that is going to come and fight a far greater battle is Jesus Christ. And he fought and he won against sin and death.
Wow,
Yeah.
sin and death. That's amazing. And I remember what we have to learn. It's what we need to do in order to battle that sin and death is not to fight with swords and shields, but we need to believe in Jesus. That's right, hey?
That's right. Jesus fought the battle for you guys. So all you need to do is believe in him.
Wow, that's amazing. Okay, these stories are awesome. Let's get going to the next story. Here we go.
That's for next week, Dave. So right now, kids, go and ask your parents to read to you from 1 Samuel chapter 17. Enjoy the story, kids. Until next week. Bye.
To be continued again every time. Bye.